Hi, everyone. This is Alan Fine. I am here on Norwegian Bliss for the 2018 Inspire Conference for Dream Vacation, CruiseOne and Cruises, Inc. I'm here with Brad Tolkin, who's the co-president, CEO at World Travel Holdings, and this is Insider Travel Report. Where's World Travel Holdings going in the future? You have so many companies. What's the big plan? What's the big picture?
So for us, we want to be the dominant or a dominant player in cruise distribution. And so that's foundationally who we are. Having said that, over the last 5 years, we've greatly expanded into non-cruise vacations, especially in these three divisions, CruiseOne, Cruises, Inc., and Dream Vacations. But in order to continue with our mantra of being the dominant cruise distributor, in 2010 we started in the United Kingdom, and in 2019 we'll book over $150 million worth of cruises out of the United Kingdom. 5 years ago in cruise, we started a company called CruiseLine.com, which is a social media and review site. We also purchased a year later the Shipmate app, and Shipmate is the #1 cruise app that is downloaded from both the Android system and the Apple system. We also own a company that we bought from the founder, Stuart Cohn, who's a motivational speaker in travel, called Resort for a Day, where we give customers the opportunity to experience a resort as a customer when they are in ports around the world. So what happens is these resorts don't want to ruin the guest experience for people who are paid to be at that resort. And so when a cruise ship or many cruise ships pull into a port, they can't afford for hundreds, if not thousands, of passengers descending upon their resort. So what Resort for a Day has successfully done is that we negotiate a number of day passes, for lack of a better word, at that hotel. The customer checks in as if they were a regular guest. They can charge from the pool area, from the beach area, and they get the guest experience. They pay for that, but they get the guest experience. And we have a defined number of spots depending upon the resort. And so those are some of the other cruise assets, all along the theme of being a dominant or the dominant cruise distributor in the industry. We also have other brands like Villas of Distinction. We rent luxury villas around the world. It's a smaller brand for World Travel Holdings, but it's an important brand. And then we have many brands that we own other than CruiseOne, Cruises, Inc., and Dream Vacations, and many brands that we have the privilege of handling in cruise distribution, such as Priceline and BJ's Wholesale Club and American Airlines and Delta Airlines and United Airlines. And some of the brands that we own are Cruises Only and Cruise 411 and Cruises.com and CheapCruises.com. So as we will continue to expand with the mission to be a dominant or the dominant cruise distributor.
So I've learned about Cruises, Inc. being the oldest of the companies, and the natural path of an agent is sometimes to go from hosting to, I want my own company, and then you've given them all the tools and so much support, very clearly. Have you given it any, and people love the name Dream Vacation. It seems very successful at this point because it's so broad. The idea of maybe folding the other two in and having the tiers remain the same. In other words, Dream Vacation being the main trademark, but allowing people still to have a host version of Dream Vacation and having a Cruises One version. Is that
No? Right now, the plan is not to change what we have. We love the three brands. We love the distinction between the Cruises Inc. model and the CruiseOne and the Dream Vacations brand. The CruiseOne brand and the Dream Vacations brand are identical in every respect, and people have the choice of choosing, do they want to be just associated with a cruise-centric brand like CruiseOne, or do they want to be associated with a more vacation travel brand like Dream Vacations? And the name Dream Vacations actually came from, that was one of our lines on Cruise One, Dream Vacations Begin Here, and it was just a natural for us to take Dream Vacations, and we were just fortunate 3.5 years ago, that the dreamvacations.com URL was still available. I believe years ago it was owned by Delta Airlines when they used to have a program called Delta Dream Vacations, and they owned it, but they gave it up, and we went out there, or they might have owned it still, but we went through a third party and we acquired it. It was a 6-figure sum to acquire the URL, but we felt over the long haul, we're in this for the long haul, that it was well worth the money.
The industry is doing well. You gave a great, very inspiring address today. Talk about that a little bit, about your foreseeing of the future travel industry.
Well, I can only look in my own neighborhood. I live in New York, and I have 3 children. They're 32, 30, and 29, and they're all recently married over the last 4 years. But when I was their age, and a lot of my friends, we looked to join a pool club, a golf club, or something along those lines, and sort of that became our social setting. Today, my children and their friends, they don't even think about that, because travel is such an important part of their lives. And I even look at, since I went through this stage of having 3 children married, where bachelor party goes today and bachelorette parties, and everything is about travel. And there's, it's very rare that just for a bachelor party we'll go into the local city where you live and just get together for dinner, which was much more what we did when I got married 36 years ago. So the point here is, travel is part of their DNA. The millennials, this is what they want to do. They want to experience the world. So that's just part of the foundation that makes me so bullish about the future of our industry. And the article that I referenced this morning about the AAA study, where they said it's not only the baby boomer generation, but 75% of millennials that they interviewed would consider using a travel agent to plan their leisure travel experience. And I see that with my own children. Yes, they're very adept at the online experience and the internet, but they value their time and they value the professional advice of a third party. And so when they went to book their honeymoons, because they didn't necessarily go on a cruise, in fact, not one of them did, and they didn't necessarily stay in a villa, not one of them did, they each hired a professional travel agent for their trip. And even myself, if I don't sell it, I use a professional travel agent. I pay a fee. These are people that maybe one could consider a competitor, but they're really not. So I've used Pro Travel in the past, and I've used Ovation Travel in the past to plan my personal travel experience, because I want that advice, I want that service, and I don't mind paying a fee for it.
Well, I want to thank everybody here at Dream Vacation, CruiseOne, Cruises Inc. The convention's been terrific. We're wrapping it up now on Norwegian Bliss. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Alan, very much for joining us for the entire week. And you experienced a great week, because we had, we had a pitch that dipped at the plate on day one.
Yeah.
Almost on hour one. We were less than 2 hours out of Long Beach, California, and everybody came together, and it turned out to be a spectacular cruise, and we did things that we didn't think that we would do.
So wait, we had a hurricane situation, and we were supposed to go where?
We were supposed to go south from Long Beach, California, and we were supposed to hit Mazatlan and Puerto Vallarta and Cabo San Lucas. And 2 hours after we left Long Beach, we knew about the hurricanes south of us, and the captain and the corporate headquarters of Norwegian and our team was involved in the discussions, because we had over 1,000 people on the ship and over 1,000 travel professionals. The decision was made for the safety of guests that instead of going south, we went north. And our first port of call was San Francisco. And although I've been to San Francisco probably over 50 times in my life, I have never sailed okay, under the Golden Gate Bridge. And when we left San Francisco and we passed the Rock first and then under the Golden Gate, it was magical. It was absolutely magical. And so I take my hat off to Norwegian Cruise Lines. They thought about the safety of the guests. They changed the itinerary. The weather was spectacular all week. We went to San Diego, which is another great port. And if you've never sailed into either San Francisco or San Diego, the best parts is that it's right in the center of town, the cruise port. You could walk everywhere. You don't need a taxi. You don't need an Uber or a Lyft. Your feet is the only mode of transportation you need to see these great cities in the United States. So they turned what could have been lemons into lemonade, and it was really a fabulous learning because these things happen with our clients.
It was really amazing. You have to think about it. They immediately came together, changed the itinerary, and then we learned about the Jones Act. Can you tell us about that?
Well, the Jones Act, I won't go too much into it. I know it was an act that came about in the earliest part of the 20th century, so before 1920. And I know the restriction, as it applies to the cruise lines, is that you cannot board in a U.S. port and then get off in a U.S. port without first hitting a foreign port. And
is there a reason for that? Is there somebody taking advantage of something?
It has something to do with shipping and not cruising. Okay,
Right.
In the earliest part, as I said, of the 20th century, maybe even the late part of the 19th century, it started to be talked about. And people might be asking who know cruising, well, how does Norwegian get away with it on the Pride of America? Well, the Pride of America is a U.S. registered ship, and 75% of the employees on that ship are U.S. citizens. So it's a different legal structure, and so that ship, because of its legal structure, legal registration, everything is exempt from the Jones Act. So we did have to stop in a port in Mexico just south of San Diego before we returned to Long Beach, California.
But that was fun.
That was fun, and a lot of people never heard of the Jones Act, but it was talked about at the beginning of the week.
Anyway, it was a tremendous cruise, a great learning experience on many levels. So again, thank you. And this is Alan Fine for Insider Travel Report.